еще раз добрый вечер всем, кто подключился в эти минуты. Что у нас... Говори.
Thank to all of you who joined us today.
Что сегодня у нас заканчивается второй международный онлайн-фестиваль любительских театров «Театр. Любовь моя».
Today we're finishing the second online festival, Theater is my love.
Перед нашей этой встречей в Zoom прошел спектакль театра из Ирана.
Before we started this conversation, this forum, we watched a play by Theater from Iran.
И теперь наступило время поговорить о спектаклях программы театров, в которые играли взрослые.
And right now we're gonna have a conversation about a place we watched from theaters where adult actors took part in.
И, как вы видели по программе, после завершения дискуссии мы перейдем к форуму.
And as you saw in the program, after this conversation, we're gonna go to the forum.
И я сейчас с большим удовольствием предоставляю слово большому другу, старейшему участнику АИТА, Дирк де Корт.
And right now, I will let Dirk de Kort, my really close friend, to have a speech.
Всегда, когда у нас в АИТА проходят серьезные проекты, Генеральной Ассамблеи, форумы, Дирк незаменимый ведущий.
You can never replace Dirk when he's leading our conversations about anything at all, forums, general assemblies, and etc.
Потому что он это делает просто блестяще, замечательно.
Yes, he's doing it perfectly.
Он живет в Бельгии, Фландрии.
He lives in Belgium, in Flandre, right?
В замечательном городе Гент.
In a wonderful city, Ghent.
Он прекрасный, великолепный актер. Я его видела в спектакле.
He's a wonderful actor. I saw him making a performance.
И замечательный художественный руководитель театра Ванзин.
And he's a really great lead of Theater Vanzin.
Дирк, дорогой, тебе слово.
Спасибо. Thank you so much, Ella. And after such an introduction, the rest of the afternoon can only be a big disappointment. But anyway, I will try to do the job as you have prescribed. And welcome to everyone, wherever you are, all over the world, literally. So what we will do is actually two things. We will first discuss about the performances which have been online. And then the second part will be a forum discussion, which we will start at 5:10, so 17:10 hours. Now, because you're all in different time zones, and for some of you, it's even in the middle of the night, the time where I am and the time I will constantly be referring to as the time is now 4 hours and 15 minutes in the afternoon. So add or subtract whatever number you need to in order to make sure that you can fill the timing. I will try to be as strict about timing as possible in order that this is a 2-hour drive and it will not be longer or shorter than a 2-hour drive. So that is for the first introduction. We had originally planned to be discussing 7 groups from Singapore, Poland, Austria, Slovakia, Latvia, Russia, and Iran. But unfortunately, we received the news that our friends from Iran will not be able to join us today because of technical problems. But the group of Boynurt, which is a small city in the northeast of Iran, I was told, will be having their moment, so to say, via WhatsApp. So what will happen is this will be recorded and their contribution about their show will be placed on the website alongside all other material. So if I am correct, we have, do we have a representative from the group of Singapore? We do or we don't? I missed that one. Is anybody who can help me there? Because I don't think we have someone from the group of Singapore. If I hear nothing, I suppose the answer to that question is no. And I see some non-verbal signs saying no to me. So we are here in this session with groups from Poland. I know that Piotr is with us. Very original lightscape you have there behind you, Piotr. I think you're either in a dark street somewhere or you're in a car, but we'll be with you in a moment. We have, of course, someone from Australia. We have Monica from Trnava in Slovakia, and we have our two people from Omsk in Siberia, Anna and Natalie. So that is correct, which means that we have nobody from Latvia and nobody from Singapore. Okay, right. So what we will do is, which means that at this moment we have 4 groups left to discuss. I will not be the one discussing about these plays, but that job will be done by Togi, Meria, and Tiasha. And maybe as a starter, the 3 of you, but not all together, because then it becomes a bit confusing. But maybe you can just say a few words about yourself, who you are, why you're here, and how wonderful you think it is to be here, or a thing like that. So Togi, because you're so good at that, could you please explain about who is Þorgeir Tryggvason, if I say that correctly?
Yes.
Togi.
Yes. I am, of course, the leading expert in the world about Þorgeir Tryggvason, which is me myself. I am an Icelandic theater critic. I write theater criticism for one of the leading newspapers, Morgunblaðið, and have done for far too long to remember. I'm also a part-time musician, playwright, and I've been for many years part of an amateur theater group called Hugleikur in Reykjavik, and in that group I have acted, directed, written plays, written music, and we actually have a premiere tonight. As soon as this is over, I'm going over to our theater to make the final adjustments for that, and teaching everybody the final song that I wrote.
Okay, that's fine. I'm sure this will go well, Togi. Thank you for your introduction. Togi will be covering for us the group from Slovakia. And I was also meant to cover the ones from Singapore and Iran, but we have we have news from Iran, but not from Singapore. Now, one more question before I pass word to one of the other people who are going to talk about the performances. I can see that, yes, Hulda, I can see that you're here. At least I have a screen in front of me saying Hulda's iPad, which
yes.
is probably not your real name, but it refers to the device you are using. Hulda, are you from a group as well, or are you just here because you like being here on a Sunday?
Hulda is my wife.
Yes, congratulations to your wife. And who are you? Who is the one behind the Hulda iPads? Who is the wife of someone? Hello? You are there. Hello, Hulda. I can hear you from the back. Is he nice to you? Yes.
It's Togi's wife, Dirk.
It's Togi's wife. Togi, you are totally confusing me. So with using these 2 iPads, this is what you have if you have Icelandic people, of course. All right. Thank you. It's very original. Get it in your show tonight. Right. The next one who's going to talk about plays is, she will be covering Poland for us. And I'm so pleased to ask her to give a brief introduction about herself. So the rock Finland was built on Merja Laksavirta. Please explain about yourself, who you are, and it would be practical if you switch on the microphone. Please switch on the microphone, Merja. We can't hear you. Get someone there, one of your assistants. It's down left. You normally have a button saying mute, and you should unmute it. Don't shout because that won't help. Okay, Merja is going to get some assistance, I think, which means that we will have Tiasha to introduce herself. Tiasha will be covering the play from Australia and Russia. Tiasha, please, who are you, where are you from, etc.
Hi, hello. My name is Tiasha Črnigoj. I'm a theater director from Slovenia, from Ljubljana, though I'm currently at a residency here in Paris in France. As a director, I'm mostly interested in devising theater. This is like this is how I approach the theater. And in the recent period, I'm mostly interested in documentary theater. But besides being a director, I also work as a dramaturge, as assistant director, producer, pedagogue, and I could also find some other role probably. Thank you for having me. It's my first encounter with this festival, and it's been a really interesting and unique experience.
Okay, Tiasha, thank you for this introduction. In the meantime, we can see that Merja is called upon her husband, and I see your mic is on now, Merja, so please go ahead.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Reposition, hang on, Merja, reposition a little bit, reposition a little bit your camera. Reposition a little bit your camera, because yes, that's it. Now we have you in your full glory. Merja, please, go ahead.
But the short briefing, who I am. I'm a total amateur, as you saw, about my abilities with the digital things. Luckily, I have this constant assistance beside me, so Hannu came to rescue. But anyway, decades ago, I became a Master of Arts in the Helsinki University, and my main subject was theater research. But of course, I have spent all my time being an amateur around the world, as all my dear colleagues do remember, don't you? So I'm very grateful for this chance to be an amateur again. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Merja, for being here. Now, before we give you the floor, Merja, because you will be the first to discuss about the Polish production, but I will only do that explaining you or explaining to the people that we already have present at the moment two people who will be part in the forum discussion, and that's Laurie Chase, who's now well hidden behind a black screen, as is Manuel Ortiz. I will give word to you, can introduce yourself when we actually start with the forum. But Laurie and Manuel, thank you already very much for being here. And I'm going to say the same, of course, to Stefan Schnell. The reason I did not do it is because you all of a sudden are now on the left part of my screen. This is what happens with this Zoom. Stefan, herzlich willkommen. Das freut mich sehr, ihn mit uns zu haben. So thank you so much, Stefan. Okay, so after all these formalities, I think we're there. And the first thing we're going to do is talk about the production of the Polish group. And this Polish production was directed by Piotr Witacik. And Piotr, you are with us. And before I give the floor to Merja, explaining or letting her explain what her feelings about the production were, I would like to ask you the question to say a little bit about your group, because I understood that your group is from a Polish town called Elk, which is, if I could see on the map, in the northeast of your country. So explain a bit about your groups, how many productions you do, and how this particular production the people have been able to see fits into the whole of your working. Please, Piotr, the floor is yours.
On prosi, żeby pan powiedział trochę na temat grupy, ile pan robi, co to jest za grupa, czym ona się zajmuje, ile było tych wszystkich rzeczy. A może być po rosyjsku?
Już po angielsku.
Okay.
Hello? Yes?
Do you
yes,
hear us?
we hear you. We heard your Polish translation. So,
Okay.
Okay, fine. Can you
Okay, we are in the car. We are going from the north of Poland to the place where we live. And I will be Peter's translator this evening. Okay, can you agree with this?
I totally agree, because if I don't agree, I would be in big problems. And anyway, there is no reason not to agree. Great, you're doing this. Thank you.
Okay, so we would like to welcome you very much. And we will speak, I will translate what Peter said.
Okay, so can I repeat my question and let Peter say a few words about the group and how many productions they do per year and how the working of the group is?
Okay, so Peter said that the group which you see is totally amateur.
Mm-hmm.
People are aged from 16 to maximum 20 years old. Okay, each year they try to make one production a year or musical production a year. This spectacle which you saw is the last production which was made in this theater before COVID epidemic.
Okay.
From December this year, we will try to get the rehearsals done next and give another production to life. Mainly, they made music, dancing productions, but also dances mixed with music. They use they mix many techniques from different dances and try to express some histories by using many dances. They treat dances, the spectacles, as an expression of the feelings and also for entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
We hope that this production makes some feelings to you and you enjoyed it.
Okay, thank you, Piotr. One more question before we ask Maria to give her views on the production. You just told us that you created the production before COVID, right? So my question is, how many times have you been able to do the production, and what are your plans with the production in the future?
So the rehearsal for these productions takes half of a year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so from December they will make another spectacle, and when another is done, this which was ended is just ended.
Okay, and one final thing: how many times have you been able to play it in front of a live audience? This Orpheus production, yes.
Okay. Ile razy to było grane przed publicznością? Ale powiedzieliśmy, że zrobiliśmy to przed pandemią. Okay. Before COVID, we played the spectacle about 4 times.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Piotr. Thank you for all this explanation. And please stay with us and can you continue to do your translation, because I'm going to ask Maria to give her thoughts about the production. Please, Maria, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Dirk. And thank you for the whole ensemble and also the director. I start my critics by saying that I enjoyed very, very much of this performance. I love Monteverdi's Orpheus, and I loved the story where there is a big love when Orpheus is obsessed to have Eurydice into his life. So this really is famous one, and also makes a big challenge for the people who make it. And now that first we saw your stage, the first impression, of course, the visual set and lighting, and I found them very elegant and suited to the archaic period where we were supposed to enter. They were only functional and necessary on stage. All this created time and place for the audience. So it was very clear from the very beginning that where we are, we can be in the modern ages, we can be in the archaic time, but everything suited together and started and gave the good start for the play. Well, the music here comes into my mind to the very, very big role. Music must have been composed, but you explained that you also clip the tones there and here when necessary. But I felt that this was really composed and thought through for this particular production. It created mood and draw the audience to the storytelling, supporting and heightening our emotional response to what we saw happening on the stage. So all parts of music, voices, lashes, long tonal lines, both disharmony and harmony took the plot forward. And I would like to say, as one of the leading roles, the dialogue can also be between music and dance. And this interpretation of the story, we had it. As dance theater, I think you are a skillful ensemble, very good, each of you. So there is no point of taking anyone especially up, because you were so strong all together, very well rehearsed, as we know that in a dance, especially like in music, everything has to be exact. We amateurs might use theater tools differently. We even might improvise a little bit on stage, even it's not necessarily planned. But in dancing and combining music, you have to really be excellent in timing. So we saw the skillful ensemble, all gestures and movements were done to the very end and gracefully. The very end, I mean that when you have a movement, you don't put half of the movement, for instance, to your hand, but each of your fingertips are then straight forward to some direction when there is a movement. So it is like classical ballet dancers. Nothing is in the halfway, everything is at the very end. Everything was at right place, even a tiny acrobatic fragment was very elegantly done and in its right place, all in the connection to the theme. And then director has been very successful. So telling this story, the scene linked to the next scene in good balance. So there was no breakings or no confusion in any of the planning how to put this play on stage. The director of the play managed to create the constant connection between distant mythology and us, today's people. So it was very easy to think our feelings and think the problematic things in the life at the same time when watching you. So I expressed my warmest congratulations to the director and the whole ensemble. And afterward, and that's what I always love when I have a good production. So the thinking doesn't stop at the moment when the play stops. And here it happened. I'm still thinking about the theme of trust. You say in your handbook that there are chance and coincidence can reverse human existence. And so we think, but in this archaic time, it was more that some god or holy angel gave an order how to behave. So it comes to this tragedy building of antique times. And now this is very nice dilemma. I thought that what kind of other examples can I find? And I remember that from the Bible, we can see wife of Lot. And she is told not to look back when she's running away. She turns and she turns into the salt statue. So thank you for giving me possibility to think that this thinking might lead nowhere. But anyway, it feeds your brains and tickles you that it's nice to think, isn't it? So thank you very much. I loved your production.
Thank you very much, Merja, for these appreciative words, and your enthusiasm comes right through the screen in all the rooms we are. Thank you for this contribution, Merja, and also thank you, Piotr, and your group from ELK. And we would also, normally we would like to ask you for a reaction, etc., but we can't do that because we have the time frame, of course, and I want to give the other groups the time to talk about their productions as well. Thank you so much for this production, and also you, Merja, sorry, for your contribution here. Now, the next group we're going to talk about is the group from Australia, and I think we have Patrick Russell still on the line. We do, or someone else from the group from Australia. Now, first of all, thank you very much for being here. I can see two people from Australia, because what we shouldn't forget, ladies and gentlemen, about these people is that for those two people I can see now in front of me, if I'm not mistaken, it's 2 o'clock in the night. Is that correct for you? So how is that for engagement in amateur theater? The production we're going to talk about was made by a group from Australia, from a city called Goulburn, between the capital Canberra and Sydney in New South Wales. And your theater is called Leader Theater. Now, that's my first question already. Is Leader the name of a person, or has it to do with the song? Because the German plural from song is Lieder, as Darina and Stefan have taught me. So Patrick or anybody else, what about the name of the theater? And if you answer about the name, maybe you can also explain and go further about what sort of group you are, how many productions you do per year, etc. I don't know who's going to speak. Patrick, is it going to be you, or is it going to be the other gentleman I can see? Yes, and what is your name, sir? Because I can't see that.
Yes, my name is Christian Hancock.
Hi,
I'm
Christian.
the artistic director at the Leader Theatre.
Go on.
And thank you very much for involving our production in this festival. The Leader Theatre was established in 1891 when Leader Tafel societies were very prolific all around Australia. And that's how the name began. It was because it was a musical society, but over the years it's evolved into a more dramatic theatre company. And this year we celebrated 130 years. And our production was designed to be the focus of that celebration of 130 years. We stage about 5 major productions a year, and host an active youth theatre company, and perform readings and experimental theatre and community performances outside of our theatre space throughout the year, all around our community.
Okay, so Christian, if I understand you well, you have a place of your own. So you're talking about an own theatre, an own building.
That's right. Yes.
Okay, and how many shows are you're doing? How many performances per year, approximately?
Yes, so our company built our theatre in 1929. So it's quite an old style, proscenium arch, Art Deco style theatre, which we maintain and we perform out of in Goulburn. Of the main stage productions, we usually do a 2 to 3 week season, so maybe 10 performances of each production that we do.
Okay, right, which means that you have an audience per production of approximately how many, to give us an idea?
It varies depending on the type of production.
It does, yes.
There's obviously more popular plays. We do a lot of repertory theatre, but we also stage original works. And Prophecy was written by Patrick, who is here with us today.
Okay. Now that's please maybe you can continue about that a little bit, because it is a play you created yourself. And is this new? Is this what you regularly do, put on new creations, or was this an exception? And how did the whole show originate?
We like to support local writers, and we've had a good relationship with Patrick for quite a few years at the Leader Theatre. So this play was originally going to be taken to Toyama Festival last year by our Leader Youth Theatre group. But because of all of the lockdowns and all the changes, we decided to use older performers and stage it as the focus for our 130th birthday.
Okay, I see. And maybe one final question before I give word to Tjaša. How many times have you played the play before, and are there any plans to keep it on repertoire? In short, what's the history, the performance history of this show?
We celebrated our 130th birthday in June this year, and as we were performing it, lockdowns occurred, and so the play was stopped after 4 performances, and we have not made any plans to continue it because we've been in lockdown for most of the time since then.
I know. Okay. Thank you very much, Christian. And now I would happily call upon Tjaša to give her thoughts about this production from the group from Australia. Please, Tjaša, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Yes, watching this performance, very soon at the beginning, for me, it became clear that it's like watching or experiencing a dream. There was a lot of surrealist images and this symbolism that is like from the dreams. And I experienced it like some kind of a rebus or a riddle. I think it's also written in your synopsis that it's like a riddle that I don't always understand, that I I can't always decipher, but it's intriguing. It is somehow pulling me to keep watching it. I'm a big fan of David Lynch, American filmmaker, and his films I always experienced as riddles that I didn't completely understand. And I knew that I probably even couldn't understand them because this wasn't the point. More it was the point, yeah, about this world that they create. And I had an impression that your performance was inviting me to watch it in a similar way. So yes, your performance is building its imagery on very archetypical images. For the example, fire, water, this black bird that could also, my association, a raven, journey at the beginning, how the actors come to the stage. It's like they came from the universe, they fell from the sky, which is also a very archetypical image. And all these symbols seem to announce a cataclysm, a catastrophe, death, and so on. There was also something very ritualistic about your performance because of all these images were like building themselves, or the performers were building these images in front of me, like in some kind of ritual. And at the same time, in these images, you didn't stay general. They were like evoking very concrete associations from contemporary time, like ecological problems or global warming, pollution, climate crisis, social media that is taking over our lives, different media and news companies that are bombarding us with a lot of information from around the world, some kind of new age spirituality, and so on. And besides that, your performance was employing very different theatrical means. I actually really enjoyed how you were building situations through a combination, for the example of video projection, movement of the actors on the stage, light and sound. For the example, at the beginning of the performance with the landing of these performers on the stage, or later with the rain, or also, for the example, what really stuck with me was this zoom in with the sound, because the actors were first like talking, just opening their mouths, but then the sound came in. It was like some kind of film language on the stage. I enjoyed all that because I had an impression that you were observing what is happening in front of you on the stage, and you were playing with it, and that everything was really playful. And you also employed puppet theater, object theater. You even made masks out of garbage. It is a very eclectic, very diverse performance, and I think that is something that makes it very rich. But it's not just that. It's like it somehow makes sense for the topics that you are dealing with, for the question of the future and what are we predicting in reference to our future, and so on. And all this contributes, of course, to this very surrealist spirit of the performance. I think that there were also some things that I think could be more clear. It wasn't completely clear for me, and I would wish for it to be more clear. What exact was the relation between the three performers that were like the main performers? Because it seemed like there is some kind of hierarchy between them, but how exactly, like, are two of them subordinated to the one, or are they their assistants or their fantasy? What exactly is the relation between them? And also, in the end of your performance, really stayed with me the feeling of danger, that something bad is happening to our worlds, apocalypse, cataclysm. So I experienced your whole performance as a prophecy, as some kind of a prophecy. But what was missing for me was a bit more clarity between about the relation between the self-ordained prophets that you were being a bit ironic about, or even mocking them, and their prophecies, and the relation between that and the prophecy that your performance is making. So you artists as some kind of prophets, what makes you different? Where is the line between their prophecy, your prophecy? What do you believe in? What is inherently theatrical that separates theater from, let's say, different contemporary or New Age spiritual doctrines, and so on? I felt potential and for like a bit more reflection and clarity with this. But again, I really congratulate you for digging into these topics. I think that they are really actual and really important. At the same time, really related to this really contemporary situation with the pandemic, but they go like wider. It's not just a question of what is happening around the world in, I don't know, last year. It's like the zeitgeist that is here. And I think you really caught this. And I really appreciate this diversity of different theatrical means, different genres, and your playfulness with it. I think this is really important. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Tjasa, for this very rich comments you make. And I know the timing is, of course, very, very strict, but there's this one particular question you hinged upon several times. And Christian, this is a question I would like you to answer, but just briefly, if you could do it, about the relation between the characters, because apparently, Tjasa, in your comments, that's sort of a recurring theme. So could you please, and again, try to be as concise as possible, but could you please elaborate a little bit on that, Christian, on the relationship between the characters in your production, please?
Can I ask Patrick whether he might want to comment about that as from the writer's point of view?
Your mic is off, Patrick. Could you switch your mic on, please? And thank you for doing that. So that should normally be on the left bottom part of the screen.
Right?
Yes, please go ahead, Patrick. Yes, you're online.
It's a long time ago, and I think Christian's direction interpreted my sort of play, but I think I really can't answer it. But I would say that Christian has said to me that the limitations of videoing a live performance explains the lack of clarity that might come through on video that you can see on stage, but Christian might understand the characters better than me.
Okay, so thank you for this short comment. I'm afraid I will have to stop you. How interesting this conversation could potentially become, but we have to move to the third group, and the third group is the group from Trnava in Slovakia. And if I'm not mistaken, we have Monica from Slovakia there. Hello. And thank you for switching on your camera, Monica, and also thank you for being here. So again, as with the previous groups, we know that you are a group from the city of Trnava, which is, if I'm not mistaken, close to the capital, Bratislava. So maybe just explain a little bit how this DISC is your theater group. Is that correct?
Yes,
and please explain a bit, what is the group like? How many productions? What sort of repertoire they do? Please go ahead, Monica.
Mm-hmm. Hello. Thank you for the possibility being here. DISC Trnava is a group which exists since 1955 without break. We make 75 openings, and yesterday we should have the 76th because we should postpone it for I don't know which term, because we have lockdown since Thursday in Slovakia, and we would like to play with audience, not online. Maybe we will make it online. Let's see. So we have a little studio in Trnava, in Culture House in the city quarter Kopanka. It's studio for 35 audience with 35 seats, and we make outdoors theater and also experimental theater for adults or drama. Obolus, as you know, if you saw it, is nonverbal, but the most of our performances, plays are verbal. We are amateurs, but we have also 2 professional actors and 1 actress that cooperates with professional theater Stoka. Our director is also professional, Blaho Uhlar, and his work and creativity very influenced in 1986 the group DISC, because we started to make outdoor theater. So we moved from classical drama to outdoors drama.
Okay, thank you for these brief words about your group, Monica. And of course, stay with us, because I'm now going to give the floor to Togi, and you have viewed this production. And please, Togi, go ahead. What are your thoughts on the Slovak production, please?
Hello, Monica, and all of you. And thank you very much for this show, which was very effective, even on the small screen of my computer. It is obviously a very festival-friendly show, almost non-verbal, and very clear, simple, and composed of very small components. I was trying to start with what kind of a show it is, but and I started after a few minutes with the phrase "an anarchic sketch show." And when I say anarchic, I don't really mean chaotic or shambolic or something like that, but exactly. It's a show where the fundamental idea seems to be we can do whatever we want. There is not chaos, but deliberation about doing exactly what we want, showing exactly what we are interested in showing. There was obviously nothing in the show by any chance, not even when you saw something that you could see as a mistake, like the guy you saw half behind the curtain, and I think the first scene where the very sad woman was making a noose, and you saw half of him, you thought, oh, he should be out or in. But because of the precision of the show, you decided, oh no, they want it like that. another thing that made you think that nothing was by chance, everything was very clearly thought out, was the costumes and the color palette of the show. All the subdued base colors, everything very worn, and everything fitted so beautifully together, made a very clear aesthetic. Both the clothes, the makeup, and the props, the spare props, the suitcases, the ropes, and the chairs. Very, very nicely done. And I also, of course, I had to think about what were they trying to tell me. And it's mostly because you feel about, there's a show about loneliness, about despair, and about trying to connect, trying to fit in, trying to find a place in the world, and about surrender. And also more on the theme of nothing by chance. I was thinking about the music, about the French court music you use so much, and was so in so clear contrast with the costumes and the people you saw, but also not at all, because the music has these associations about a world of stifling rigidity. It's a world where everything is prescribed, how you should behave, how you fit in. And this is a show about people who are desperate to fit in on their terms, I think. I love the sarcastic and ironic atmosphere that goes through the whole, like when you're revealing the woman on the toilet by the curtains, the fascination of the bodily functions, about sneezing and about spitting and about vomiting. So wonderfully funny often, but also sad, also heartbreaking at times. The very subtle use of the clown technique of connecting with the audience. An example would be the wonderful part about the woman putting on lipstick and then more lipstick and more lipstick. It was marvelous. And all the work with the posture, of the body work was so clear without being stylized. And it was never an end in itself. It was always part of telling a story, explaining and revealing characters. The guy who was like an American cheerleader with a baton, which he just couldn't handle. It's so funny. And defying, and also letting the sketches not work as like a comic sketches with a punchline, like the woman pleasuring herself. It just ended. It's so wonderful. And the wonderful man with the chairs, but that moved about like an amoeba, like an invertebrate with no spine. It's such a funny sketch. I loved the black humor of it, and also when you had the scene with the old man and the woman who was clothing in the tenderness. You expected a dark twist, but it didn't arrive. I just, as you can hear, I really love this show. I think it worked best when you weren't compelled to think, what is this? What do you mean? You just let it have its effect on you without thinking, oh, they're doing this. Oh, this is supposed to mean that. So I would say I started with calling it an anarchic sketch show, but it's a piece of theater poetry. So I would like to end with giving it another definition. I think it's poetic punk.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Togi, for this inspirational alliteration right at the end. You seem very inspired and enthused by the production, And can I wish you also on behalf of the people here, thank you for doing this, and rush off to your theater because you will have your performance tonight. And I have no doubt you will enter the room as a happy man after all these wonderful words. Thanks, Dougie. And I would like to say, see you again next year or somehow halfway up the North Sea, wherever we meet. Okay, right. Thank you, Dougie. We now go to our last group. Unfortunately, I'd say, because we would have had the group from Latvia, but I don't think there's anybody from Latvia here. So we go to the group from Omsk in Russia, in Siberia. And if I'm not mistaken, we have Anna and Natalie Kozlovsky for that group. And I also see someone present with, or two people present with the name Natasha Kozlovskaya on their screen. Are you also from the group of Omsk? Or are you just onlookers or spectators in this show? Natasha Kozlovskaya, maybe Artem, can you give a translation to these people? Because I think they're also from the group of Omsk, or anybody who can help me. And Anna and Natalia, please get yourself clear because I'm going to ask you to say a few words. Arseny, can you just?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, please. Yeah, go on.
Да, мы готовы, Арсений.
Да, да.
Мы поняли, что нам зададут вопросы, вы нам переведете, правильно?
Да, конечно. Так, да, ну просто это про пьесу, в принципе, это какие представиться это попросили, это кто вы, чем занимаетесь, про театр, это вкратце.
Хорошо, да, добрый вечер. Мы сразу извиняемся за то, что не совсем владеем языком и можем только так долго через переводчика говорить. Мы из Омска, мы две сестры, и у нас два театра. Театр «Шумим» — это Анна, и театр «Карусель» — это я, Наталья.
So we greet everybody. We're sorry that we don't have a proper translator and we don't have a really good English, but we greet everyone. We're from название театров. Можно еще
Шумим.
Yeah, it's theater Шумим and Карусель.
Анна и Карусель.
Yep.
Okay, and maybe Arseny, just the question I have, like with the other groups, let them explain a little bit about the way they work and how many shows they do in their group.
Yeah, of course. Да, просто, ну, как все вот представлялись, там это рассказывали чуть-чуть от осей, сколько вот вы пьес ставите там это вот группой и остальное такое.
Ну, у нас два театра, но мы с Натальей сотрудничаем давно, и наши театры тоже сотрудничают, и у нас есть совместные спектакли, и вот этот спектакль «Колесо номер 3» — это тоже одна из совместных именно работ. Вообще в театре у нас более, наверное, сейчас уже 50 спектаклей в постановке, да, и мы работаем еще в профессиональном театре.
Анечка, дай возможность перевести.
Да, то я боюсь информацию, могу потерять.
The limited storage, translation storage.
Yeah, of
Arseny,
course.
please.
Yeah. So,
buffering.
We have two theaters right here, but we sometimes work together. In this performance, you saw that the wheel number 13, I believe.
50.
50. Sorry. Yeah, number 50. Yeah, they did this performance together, and they're also working with a professional theater, and they're making 50 performances.
Okay, that gives a good idea. Right. Thank you for this brief explanation. I'm now going to ask again Tiasha to give her views on the production from the group of Omsk. Please, Tiasha, the floor is yours.
Thank you.
And maybe also chop your speech in little digestible bits so that Arseny can do a translation on the spot, right? So don't make it too long. Okay, please. Okay. You can make it long, but use cutting. Yeah. Okay, Tiasha. If I do this, you'll stop and then he can translate.
Oh, yes, that would be good. Yes, in case I
do. I do. Go ahead.
Okay, so yes, this performance is about a very ancient motif, the wheel of fate, how things always change, and at the same time, similar events are returning.
Да, но это пьеса, вот как раз это о судьбе, это да, об колесе фортуны, это как вот происходят вещи некоторые с людьми, это и не всегда то, что их можно предвидеть.
And in your performance, you focused, as you write in your synopsis already, on 3 cataclysms, flood, plague, and pandemic. So,
Yeah, right. То, что здесь затрагивается 3 вида таких катаклизмов, катастроф, это чума, flood, did you say flood?
Наводнение.
Right?
Потоп,
да,
потоп.
наводнение, да, и вот землетрясение, кажется, там было еще.
Да, ну и все.
Yes,
Go on.
go on. Yasha, are you there? She looks frozen on my screen. Is that also your idea?
Oh.
Yasha?
I think we have connection problems.
We have a short connection problem with...
У нее, видимо, проблемы технические.
Yeah, maybe Yasha, if you can... Yeah, now you sound like you're in a submarine, which I don't think you are. But maybe you can just reconnect again, if that's possible. And all right, so let's just wait a little bit what happens. And please, Arseni, if in the meantime, if she starts connecting.
Hello?
Yes, you sound very clear now. There you are again. Yeah, okay, Tiasha, go on, please.
I'm sorry, I was just speaking, and for me, I wasn't frozen.
Yes, you look very frozen. You look like you actually were in Omsk, where I think the temperature is -15 or something. Okay, Tiasha, go ahead, please.
Okay, yes. So I was saying that in your performance, you present 3 catastrophes.
Yeah, I already translated that.
Yeah, that was done. Yeah.
So yeah, but at the same time, just events between return of life and spring. And this made me think about 2 possibilities, how we see the wheel of fortune, or if we see it as a constant catastrophe, as a constant misfortune that is returning, or as constant opportunity for rebirth, for something new.
В общем, это вот, да, хорошо здесь показывается в этой пьесе, это как мы смотрим на жизнь и на колесо удачи, которое вот крутится постоянно, и как мы с этим справляемся, как мы реагируем на некоторые вещи, и как мы их интерпретируем у себя в голове.
And you emphasized, at least this is how it stayed with me, the latter, meaning, renewal, new life. Because you ended the performance with the baby, with image of a baby and the symbol for new life and rebirth.
Да, но то, что это вот прям такое письмо, это можно сказать, это и то, что вы в конце показали пьесы ребенка, то, что это как такое перерождение, начало новой жизни, это то, что всегда оно все продолжается.
And your performance is completely based on movement and sound. There is no words. And I think that this is a great challenge. It is also very friendly for the festival, as Togi said before about the other performance. Yes.
Да, то, что здесь очень хорошо подобран был спектакль как раз для фестиваля, потому что там нет слов, все строится на звуке и визуале, и поэтому это вот прям замечательный выбор был, как и говорил Тоги до этого.
And it is somehow marked by collective acting, because there is a lot of actors on the stage or performers, and they are functioning as a chorus, and here and then some individuals are popping out, or this chorus splits into smaller groups. So there is constant movement here.
То, что вот было замечательно выбрано, то, что много актеров находится непосредственно на сцене, и они вот как хор выступают, и это вот показывает, как и общество это вот реагирует на некоторые вещи, то, что кто-то начинает выделяться из этого хора, как иногда разделяется на какие-то вот группы это и подобные.
And this is giving your performance a specific rhythm, which is really giving an impression of a cycle. And for me, this was really something I appreciate, because I had an impression that through this directing of this group of performers, you really created a movement of cycle.
То, что вот благодаря как раз большому количеству актеров на сцене получилось сделать такое ощущение движения циклов.
And I think this is really an important quality of the performance. You see, I mean, I could see as a spectator how you perceived it somehow as a partiture, of course acting, of individual contributions, and everything in between.
Это, в общем, прям такой вот тур хороший получился. Это из-за этого, то, что можно посмотреть, как люди вот какие-то выбиваются, это там вперед, так скажем, это какие-то вот остаются где-то, кого-то не замечают.
And besides that, it is also constantly changing in atmospheres. For the example, very playful and soft atmosphere with this diverse use of sheets. Then frightening atmosphere when this black tall creature appears. Then slowness versus fastness, quietness versus noisiness, and so on.
Да, то, что здесь очень много такой атмосферы было передано, это то, что это и от визуала очень хорошо зависело, как, например, когда выходит вот темная такая страшная фигура, там, я просто не смотрел, да. То, что вот это сразу напряжение вот создает, это то, что очень хороший контраст получился, то, что вот он прям вот так это идет, это, и ты ощущаешь все вот эти вот эмоции, зависимо от визуала, который тебе подается.
I really appreciated how how you were playing between these changes, between and tensions, between opposites, between poles. And for the example, a really powerful moment for me was when this actress or performer starts singing at one moment, which also somehow breaks the rule of no words and completely changes the atmosphere.
Ей очень понравился тот момент, когда актриса начала петь, нарушая как раз вот этот прием, то, что никто не говорит на сцене, и это вот добавило прям вот такой сильной, мощной атмосферы, это вот как раз.
At some moments, I had an impression that your performance is still a bit like you would imagine something in your head and then put it on stage and not completely react to what is happening on the stage. I will give you an example.
Да, и очень ей понравился вот момент, это то, что не все, что ты видишь на сцене, ты не актер, и ты не особо понимаешь, это, как с ним взаимодействовать. Сейчас она приведет пример.
For example, I noticed that, which I really found unexpected, that you had from the beginning, the performers had their masks like this on their heads. And I thought, oh, this is great because it's association with the pandemic. But at the same time, it's an unexpected way of wearing it. It's not here, but it's here.
То, что вначале они маски вот носили на голове, это вот как раз задевает тему пандемии, это естественно, но при этом это и показывает общество наше, то, что не все правильно носят эти маски, а здесь самый вот такой вот абсурдный вариант, как ее надеть на голову.
But then it was like you would say to yourself, oh, but we have to talk about pandemic, and now we have to make this really clear, so the actors put their masks here. And I found this a pity because it was unnecessary, because I was already thinking about the pandemic. The associations were already there.
То есть, когда актеры они осознают то, что да, мы все-таки должны это вот пандемию затронуть, это и надевать маски правильно, это ее немного это расстроило, потому что так даже интереснее это, мол, было, это то, что они вот неправильно маски эти носили, и она сразу поняла, в чем суть, это вот, и что пытается донести.
So yes, for me, with your performance, this was also an important question, how to observe what is happening on the stage, what kind of associations are evoking, but and to respond to that, to play with that. Even if, of course, we always imagine something in our heads, but then to really try it out on stage and see if what is necessary and not.
То есть, в общем, это, естественно, не как оскорбление, это ничего такого-то говорит, это просто то, что ей понравилась эта идея, и вот всегда ей интересно, как вот режиссер это, когда в голове себе представляет, как это должно выглядеть на сцене, и как оно в итоге вот проявляется, это вот на сцене, как это показывается.
Yeah, now, yes, I have one final.
Yes, please, go on.
Yes. And yes, but I think that it's really important and a really big quality of your performance. That I think that you really succeeded in creating a movement and a cycle with composition of performers for stage. So I really congratulate you for that.
Да, но все равно это она говорит, что ей очень понравилось, как вот с композицией работали на сцене, и вы замечательно все равно передали вот это ощущение от цикличности жизни.
Okay, thank you. And also spasiba for you, a translation in Russian. Now, I see that we have been joined by Dace Umbrasco from Latvia, if I'm not mistaken, and that is good news. Dace, could you please get your camera on, and if it's possible, also unmute your microphone? Thank you.
Okay,
how
hello.
are you? Which means, Maria, that you have not an extra job, because you were prepared for that already. And thank you for being here, Dace, with your performance. You are from Latvia, of course, from a little place close to the capital, Riga, Jūrmala, which, if I had it well, means beach in Latvian. Is that true?
Yes, it's
wonderful.
true. Yes.
Yeah, so you are clearly on the beach. Now, just because I have to monitor time also, very, very short question and also short answer, and then I'll let Maria in 5 minutes. So if you could stick to that deadline, and if I do this, it means 5, and then you have to stop. But that's it. Just one question about your group. Could you please explain, tell a little bit about your group, how many performances you do per year, and what is the company structured like, please? That's
mostly we make one performance per year, one bigger performance, but approximately 5 small performances for city. We work in our capital like a theater, and we make special for each. Sorry, my English, I forgot English, because we have a rehearsal now. Next Sunday, we have a first night performance. Maybe you know Dear and Math physics. I don't know how it's to say. Yes, one biggest performance and small performance for society, for kids, for different events.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Maria, please. So you have viewed the performance of Latvia, and now you have the very difficult task to say something that's not so difficult, but in 5 minutes or so. Please, Maria, go ahead.
All right. I'll try to be quick. So anyway, we were sitting down and seeing when ladies began their shameless scratches and playful dances to become acquainted with their physical, mental nature and other qualities. And there was I, as a spectator, looking at this and thinking as a woman that, all right, let's have a look. Now we are trying to learn something about ourselves. First, the thoughts that just came impulsively was that, are they first like Neanderthals ladies to whom everything is research work in order to understand the body of a woman, because it is a special thing to function. Anyway, liberating cacophony was created there, and it amused me. It amused probably most of the spectators. And if trying to look at the ladies' concrete inventions more seriously, we see the biological requirements that women have to face. And perhaps there was also the aim, this is only a question mark, the director can maybe answer me. Perhaps there was the aim of breaking the monopoly of norms in society when we come to the society as we understand it. And perhaps there was making social control ridiculous. Well, that came into my mind when watching luxury shoes and dresses. What are the expectations for women? Do they have to wear very uncomfortable shoes instead of comfortable shoes? There are so many roles that we women are expected to fulfill. Physical theater was a good way to make us think and let us make conclusions ourselves, probably. And I have the feeling that there was a lot of improvisational rehearsals that carried out those ideas, probably coming from the ladies on the stage, from the actors. This is also a question I would like to get an answer tonight. But anyway, the director had created good atmosphere on stage and a lovely ensemble. Actors enjoyed themselves, that was obvious, and they made their energy, experiments with energy and enjoying life. And of course, the biggest, greatest biological miracle, also the birth happens. And then comes another emotional, biological instinct from a woman. She's a nurse. She wants to nurse and take care. And so we went through all kind of visible and inside instinctions that we have in ourselves, in our biological background. And then it ended with many strong classic names who ruled their lives themselves in their own conditions. For instance, Medea was mentioned, who killed all her children because the husband had betrayed her. There was Antigone mentioned. He wanted to bury against the law, the king's order, his brother, and he continued doing it against the law. And this was a very, very strong ending, putting on the written form. And actually, I would love to give a short moment for Dace to try to answer these and clarify for me that I can see that there is a full picture of a woman in different kind of situations. But what was the main idea here and how much these ideas came from improvisation?
Yes, please, that's it. Could you briefly answer that
Yes,
question? I think it's an interesting one.
I try to answer. Yes, we start with improvisations. We start with ideas. Who is a woman? What we want, and yes, we start with improvisations, with etudes, and with body and with languages, and in the end of our work, we decide it will be without speak, because when we start to work with this performance, at the beginning, we take different books about women. We read books and we read poems. We take poems, and in the beginning, we think we speak. And in the end of our improvisations and discussions together with our actors, we decide it's no text, just one question, who I am, and just one answer. I'm woman, and I can do what I want because I'm woman.
Okay, thank you.
Very clear answer. Thank you so much.
So we are the last to contradict you there. That's it. Thank you for this answer. And thank you also, Maria. I would like at this stage to thank all the groups who have participated in this festival, especially those who are present here among us. and all the groups will actually receive a certificate, a diploma as it's called, and if everything goes well, you can now see it on my screen. So Christian, this will be on its way very soon as a token of appreciation for the fact that you took part in this event. Thank you so much, and thank you also Togi, Tiasha, and of course Maria for your contribution and the time you have. Now we have around 20 minutes for the second part of our afternoon, which is the forum discussion. And before I continue that forum discussion, which will take about 20 minutes, because I really want to finish on time in order to keep my reputation intact, but that's not the only thing, but I think we should also keep time in frame. And I'm going to ask the people who are with us in this discussion to briefly present themselves, what they do, who they are, and who.
아이타 이아타 회원과 준 회원 여러분, 안녕하세요. 오늘 이 포럼에서 제게 한국의 현 상황에 대해 발표할 수 있는 기회가 주어진 것에 대해 매우 기쁘게 감사를 드립니다. 저는 한국의 이보람입니다. 저는 20년간 극단에서 배우와 사무국장으로 많은 작품과 연극제를 경험하였습니다. 지금은 배우로 기획자로 활동 중이며 문화체육관광부 산하 공공기관인 한국예술교육진흥원 소속 예술 강사로 경북지역 초중고등학교에서 연극을 가르치고 있습니다. 뿐만 아니라 다양한 예술활동과 예술을 통한 도시 재생, 문화예술 교육 프로그램 개발에도 힘을 쓰고 있으며 특히 교육연극 활동을 적극적으로 하고 있습니다. 2020년에는 모든 행사가 취소되거나 비대면으로 진행되었기 때문에 현장에서 주는 감동은 100% 전달될 수 없었습니다. 그리고 비대면으로 콘텐츠를 만들어 배포할 수 있는 극소수를 제외한 대부분의 예술가들은 위기를 맞았습니다. 저도 예산을 받아놓고 공연이라는 결과물은 내야 했기 때문에 무관중으로 공연을 하기도 하였습니다. 코로나 팬데믹과 같은 위기의 시대에 문화예술 활동이 우선순위에서 밀리는 상황도 발생하였습니다. 서울뿐만 아니라 전국의 예술가들이 영향을 받았는데요. 방역을 잘 지킨 덕에 올해는 다수의 행사와 축제, 공연이 이루어지고 있습니다. 초중고 학교 수업의 변화도 있었습니다. 2020년에는 100명 이하의 학교들만 대면 수업을 진행하였고 그 외의 학교들은 모두 비대면 수업으로 진행을 하였습니다. 지금은 전면 등교가 되고 모든 활동들이 대면으로 진행되었습니다. 물론 확진자가 나오거나 PCR 검사를 하는 경우에는 일시적으로 비대면을 전환하기도 합니다. 마스크를 쓰고 철저한 소독과 예방으로 거의 모든 활동을 예전처럼 진행하고 있습니다. 다만 학교 내에서의 축제들은 학교 인원수에 따라 작은 학교는 대면으로, 학생 수가 많은 학교는 온라인 실시간 방송이나 유튜브 채널을 이용해서 진행하고 있습니다. 이제 한국 정부의 노력과 지원에 대해 이야기하겠습니다. 한국문화예술위원회의 지원 방향 중 눈여겨볼 것은 코로나19 전보다 온라인 미디어 활동의 지원이 대폭 늘어났다는 것입니다. 팬데믹 상황은 예술인들에게 비대면이라는 과제를 인식하게 만들었는데 정부의 이러한 지원은 비대면 예술 활동이라는 과제 해결을 도와주는 적절한 방향이라고 생각합니다. 또한 융합예술 지원 사업도 상당한 비중을 차지하였는데요. 정부는 온라인 미디어와 마찬가지로 기술과 4차 산업의 변화를 예술로 접목시키려는 노력을 하고 있습니다. 또한 메타버스나 증강현실 등의 과학기술을 어떻게 예술활동에 활용할 수 있는지에 대한 연구도 적극적으로 지원하고 있습니다. 이 밖에도 코로나19 전후의 일상의 변화들을 기록하고 예술로 해석하고 남기고 포스트 트랜스 코로나를 대비하는 작업도 여러 기관에서 진행 중입니다. 각 나라에서 활동하는 예술과 관련된 일을 하시는 분들 모두 많은 고민이 있을 것이라 생각합니다. 저도 역시 많은 고민이 있고 그것을 헤쳐나갈 길을 찾으려고 노력 중입니다. 코로나 팬데믹이 아직도 끝나지 않은 이 어려운 시기에 한국 정부와 각 지방 정부 그리고 예술과 개개인에 이르기까지 모두가 합심하여 문화예술의 생존과 미래 발전을 위해 노력하고 있음을 여러분 모두에게 전하고자 합니다. 감사합니다. Thank you.
Who better to start than Laurie Chase? Laurie, hi, good morning or early afternoon to you. I'm not quite sure. Is it still morning in your?
It is still morning.
It is still morning. Laurie, just explain who you are, why you're here, etc.
Hi, everyone. My name is Laurie Chase. I work for Venice Theater in Venice, Florida, in America. Venice Theater is the second largest community theater in America. My main job, though, working for the theater is as the organizer for ACT World Fest, which is our international component. We host an international festival every 2 years, and many of you have been there. Some of you have even performed there. So happy to see everyone this morning and excited to discuss everything.
Thank you, Laurie. And I would like to give the floor to Manuel. Manuel, I know that you are from Argentina, but you also sometimes live in New York. Where are you at the moment? And who are you, etc., etc. Thanks to see you, Manuel, please.
Sure, thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Manuel Ortiz. I am from Chile, actually.
Chile.
Argentina, yes.
This is not Argentina. Yes.
Yeah. In the neighborhood, but like not the same.
Okay.
I love my fellows from Argentina, though. Well, I'm a theater director, a playwright, a theater educator, and a producer. Also, I'm the founder and director of the Latin American Theater Corridor, which is a platform for Latin American theater circulation all over the world, and also exchange between organizations. What else can I tell you about me? I told you I'm a director. I've directed around 15 plays and presented these shows in Chile, Argentina, Brazil, Mexico, the USA, Spain, Italy, France, and Germany. And since 2015, I've been involved with IATA. I met Laurie, actually, and Beatriz Salario, and a few other members of IATA in a congress in Girona, Spain. And then I was invited to lead the colloques in Monaco, in the festival in Monaco in 2017, I want to say. And yeah, it's been lovely. We have developed different projects between IATA and Latin American Theater Corridor. So hi, everyone.
Okay, thank you for your introduction, Manuel. And please, Stefan, floor is yours. I know, and some of people here know who Stefan Schnell is, but maybe can you briefly explain your background, Stefan, please?
Yes, and I will make it quite short and then hand over to Darina, my colleague. The reason why I'm here is probably that I'm in charge of education and international affairs in the German Amateur Theater Organization, and also just recently I became member of the board of CEC, which is a Central European Committee for Amateur Theater. And to save time, I hand over to Darina, my
Please, Darina, go on. Yes, who are you?
Hello, everybody. My name is Darina Startseva. I'm working together with Stefan in Germany, and basically I'm a project manager and is organizing the festivals, different projects within international affairs. So
okay, wonderful. Darina, don't run away, because I'm going to ask the first question actually to you, and then I let the others three react. The first question is a question I hoped I was not going to ask last year, but it's exactly the same question, and that is the new trends do you see any new developments in international amateur theater during and also because of the COVID pandemic we are now experiencing? So the actual impact, please, Darina.
Sure. Yes. First of all, we can see each other
we can meet each other, and that's why we have to use another ways of theater. For example, what we do now, we have an online theater. We had also an experience this year because we have the Theaterwelten, that is the festival that we organize every 2 years. And this year we couldn't run the festival live, but we do it also as online festival. But we had another focus. We don't stream the workshops, sorry, not the workshops, but the performances. Mm-hmm. We had a conversation with the groups. And I think we have to react to the pandemic situation. That's why, sure, it has a large impact on it, yes.
Okay, and Stefan, maybe in Germany, are the theaters still open, or is it totally closed, or is it different from Länder to Länder, or what is the current situation now, Stefan?
Yeah, the current situation is quite different, like you already mentioned. We are on the way to another lockdown, and some theaters are trying to survive. Some gave up, and yeah, that's a really difficult situation. And I have the feeling that, and I also got from the recent meeting the impression that it's all over the German-speaking countries like Austria and Switzerland and South Tyrol, that we have increasing distance between those amateurs who are addicted to do theater, and they try to stay open as long as they can, and those who are delighted and they are fearing so the situation more than they are in love with, so they give up.
Yeah, so it's a big resilience test, so to say. Laurie, is that also your view on about the impact of the pandemics in Florida and the whole US, please?
We're all over the place in the United States, as I'm sure everybody sees on television, because the pandemic became politicized. Yeah. I happen to live in Florida. Our governor of Florida believes that the pandemic disappeared a long time ago. So yes, it's constantly a challenge in the US. It's constantly a challenge within each state. We go everywhere from between our patrons saying they're not coming in the theater as if we don't require everybody to be vaccinated, to I'm not stepping foot inside that theater as long as we have to wear a mask. So it's all over the place here.
Do you share Stefan's view that it is in fact a resilience test in the sense that you see local theaters falling out? Because that was actually what Stefan
America lost a lot of community theaters during the pandemic.
Yeah.
I will say, thanks to the hard work of some of our community theater people, our government did really well with large grants. My particular theater got over $1 million in grants to help us stay open. So we never even had to, we cut back on salaries during the pandemic. Everybody took a cut in pay, but we didn't lose any employees during the pandemic.
Okay.
So it's all over the place in this country.
Yeah. And the same question to you, Manuel, the impact and the fact that some of the theaters are falling out, and maybe you can talk about several of the countries there.
Yeah, well, that's the situation. And it's sort of similar in the States, because like my theory is that actually the States are 50 different countries. So you have like different situations. In Latin America, it's quite the same. You know, in Chile, for instance, we have social unrest. We are actually writing a new constitution. So like there's a political scene that it's very particular for us, you know. On the other hand, in Brazil, you know, well, they have Bolsonaro, and without going into politics, it's very tough to develop cultural projects over there. Argentina, on the other hand, it's doing quite well. They are back 100% of capacity in theaters, which is very hopeful, I would say. But like, yeah, it's different for each territory what's happening. Well, I think that's another question in this event, but like the new COVID strain, it's getting us very unsettled, you know? So
yeah,
I would like to like see also like the glass half full, in the sense of like, I feel that the opportunity, I don't know if the opportunity, but like we have faced this crisis, developing different projects, online projects that are being very like satisfying and like a new ways to connect with people that probably we wouldn't have like the chance to connect if the pandemic didn't happen, you know? So yeah.
Which is actually, Emmanuel, a question I was going to ask, and I would like to let the other three muse upon as well. Has this whole pandemic led to new, I'd say, outbursts of creativity, which are lasting, or which are going to stay? So you already started answering that question, Manuel, but can you maybe go on a little bit about that? So has the pandemic sort of created extra creative impulse to amateur and global theater as a whole, please?
I would say yes. There has been like interesting projects that we have developed actually with YATA as well, acting skill workshops that allowed us to like connect with people from all over the world. Also, I feel like we did this project between Argentina and Brazil, an artistic residency. So a director from Argentina directed a group from Brazil through Zoom again, you know, and like that things I just did a similar project with people in the south of Chile. Yeah, there has been projects that have been very interesting. But like also I would say that we need to, I think like we again trying to like discover the wheel again, you know, like I read on Twitter about like, well, I don't know if you all know about like Stephen Sondheim just died.
Yes, he did.
And I read on Twitter this comment about like how the PBS broadcast Stephen Sondheim shows back then in the 90s. I don't know, but like I actually know from the States, but like, and like the reflection on that is like how virtual theater can impact on like audiences and people. It's not just from now in the COVID on the pandemic situation. Like there's been instances before where theater has been broadcast from using different mediums and actually impact audiences and people as well. So like I think there's a story behind like before us that we need to look at it and like keep going, because like I'm actually hopeful that this is an opportunity to connect with people.
So new creative opportunities. Laurie, what about your view on that? Is this something which you share, which you feel as well?
Okay, I'm older than Manuel and I adore him and he knows that. To me, online theater is television. It's not theater. It doesn't have that component give and take between the audience and the performers. So we have avoided that as much as possible. Where some of the newer stuff has helped is opening up our educational classes. Those have become international, which we didn't even think about at the time we went online with them. But that's been a good component, which we will continue to keep. As far as performances go, though, there are too many of us involved that are still old school.
Okay, now you touch upon the educational aspect, and I know, of course, that Stefan, it's his field of work. So Stefan, with regard to new births of creativity linked to educational projects, have you seen any new things developing in Germany? And maybe Darina can give her view as well, but Stefan, I would like you to answer the question first.
Of course, there's a lot going on in the fields of theater pedagogy but like Manuel said, it's a little bit reinventing the wheel. And transferring some tools from the real life to the digital life. It's the scenery is a little bit split, like Laurie and Manuel pointed out. And I think the question is about not so much about the aesthetics. Of course, there are new developments using new digital tools, but it's more on the part of the participants, like which is very important for amateur theater. And here we have this situation that, of course, it's easy to participate, but we are losing the feeling of sharing something, which is just, yeah, that's the open question. How can we gain back this sharing, this community sharing?
Okay, Darina, any thoughts on that? And maybe the last point, how you actually can use the means we are using now to enhance, so to say, the sharing, not only sentiment, but experience with theaters? Or is there anything you see in Germany or other countries with regard to that?
If I understand your question correctly, I think that we can take something from this new experience, but it's like practical thing that we can take to connect with each other and to save maybe money for traveling or to save some time. Yeah. But this atmosphere, I'm totally by Stefan and Lori, this sharing, we can, it's something that we lose. And as for me, I don't know how we can find it in this digital world. I think we have to wait and to come back to that what we had before the pandemic, but sure, this practical thing with working, we are online, we will also have and take with us after the pandemic. It's my point of view.
Because actually the overrunning theme here is that nothing can replace live performances and live experiences, but on the other hand, this time has also seen new forms of connecting, which we wouldn't have used before. And I like the quote of Lori that in the end, watching theater on a screen is television or even movie, as one would say, right? Okay, now I see that the time is now running to 10 to 6. Which is a little bit behind schedule, but I'm happy to have had this short conversation. But one final question, maybe just to eat 5 or 6 minutes into the time, and this is about international festivals, because I think it's an interesting topic as well, also considering the expertise we have here with these 4 people. Now, first, let's call it, and Lori, you'll be the first to tackle this one. Let's call it your quote that theater on the screen is television. How will you see, and you're the right one to answer it, being so involved in the festival there. Will you, in your work and the Venice Festival you're organizing, be using anything of this in the years to come, if we ever return to some sort of normalcy? Or will you look upon it as a nightmare, happy to be over?
A little bit of both, thank you.
Okay.
As we speak, I am currently in the throes of organizing our next festival, which is June 2022. So less than a year from now. And yeah, it's an ever-changing battle. I had just communicated with a group out of South Africa who proposed a beautiful production, really wanted to bring them in. And then as of yesterday, they are now banned from the United States until further notice, which means there's absolutely no way I can apply for a visa to get them into the country.
Yeah.
And this is a daily changing situation for me to have to deal with. Obviously, I love dealing with groups that don't require a visa, because then I don't have to pay all of the money and fill out the 100-page application to find out that we can't bring them in. So
okay, I see. Right. And Manuel, please, is anything you already partly answered the question, but I'm going to want you to focus on festivals. How do you see festivals developing with all the experiences we've been through?
Yeah, I would just like to point out though that like I would say that this virtual situation that we are in, it would never be a substitute of theater, of live theater. I just want to point to that.
Okay.
But yeah, festival, international festival. We're in the same boat. You know, we don't know. We have no idea what's gonna happen now. So like next year, we have some scheduling doing, but like we don't know if it's gonna be presential or online or maybe both. Or like we are actually in this period of time where we're like waiting for fundings, and like all over Latin America, there are being cuts in fundings for cultural projects. So like we are up in the air pretty much, you know. We are focusing in keep developing projects online by now, because like we think that we have been done some interesting like things. But like, yeah, that's our situation by now. Like,
okay, yeah, Darina, anything you have to add there about what this could mean for festivals in the future?
Yeah, the same for us. We can plan for now, but we don't know what will happen in a couple of months. And the news from yesterday that this new variant of virus is in Europe. So
yeah. Stefan, you've got anything optimistic to say at the end of this?
Optimistic? Oh, that's difficult. But no, of course, I'm rather optimistic, and I still we are fighting for being in real life present, and yeah, and we have this hybrid and digital backup, but our focus is to get in touch with the people in real life.
Yeah, of course you are. Thank you very much. The four of you, Lori, Darina, Stefan, and of course, Martin, I lost you on my screen. Oh, Manuel, you're there. Okay, this is what happens if someone falls out, you move to the screen. So thanks very much, the four of you, and also all the other people. I consider, let's say, my job done. And I'm not going to consider my job done unless I've raised a hand to Mary Pierce, who's been actually following us all the way from Donegal to Dublin, has on that journey crossed Brexit country, as she just referred to the United Kingdom. Mary, is this just a waving hand you put up there, or you want to whisper something behind your pink mask? Your mic is off, Mary. You're just waving. Mary Pierce is waving, not disturbing Irish Railways by any comments you want to make. Okay, thank you, everyone. Great to see you. Mary Allitt, I gladly pass the word to you.
Yeah, before everybody disappears, thank you, Dirk, and thank you for your brilliant coordination of this session, which isn't easy. Just to sort of throw something back on the discussion on COVID and on whatever is coming next in terms of new variants and the various different challenges that we're going to have to face over the coming months. And I 100% agree about live theatre. That's why we're involved. We understand what we're dealing with in terms of live theatre, in terms of digital theatre and virtual theatre. We're just trying to create something and to make sure that there is a connection, that there is a communication, that we can have conversation, that we still are here and can show what we're doing. So, I mean, whilst it obviously it's not going to, it can't replace it. But maybe there's a role for it as well. Maybe we're going to have to develop different roles with digital means. I mean, you go back to the practice that we've used with young people's theatre, where we've exchanged ideas by video and things like that, and we've made creativity work locally by exchanging ideas internationally. maybe we need to tease those ideas out a bit to see how we can ensure that we continue to have international dialogue, international communication, and that we don't go back into those pre-First World War worlds of being entrenched in our own countries, entrenched in our own ideas, entrenched in our own cultures, but that we continue to strive to learn about each other and to understand each other, and using theatre as a tool for that. And I suppose that's what's worrying me a bit, is that the possibility that we could end back into some sort of the English word is silo. It's not an easy word, but into our sort of little departments or pigeonholes that everybody sits in. And if we don't start to develop new means of communication, new means of exchange, and understanding that we all want to be doing live theatre, but that we need to find new ways of engaging in communication. Maybe we have a responsibility to amateur theatre in the sense that if people aren't making theatre and are sitting in their homes in their own isolation, that we need to be finding different ways, finding different means of doing it, and maybe that's a responsibility for us. If I just wanted to throw that in. Anne Gilmore, our secretariat, will be collating some of the ideas that have been thrown out, or all the ideas that have been thrown out into the discussion on not just on this forum, but the one on children's and youth theatre the other day, and she'll be bringing that together into a sort of an informal report. We've enjoyed 11 plays from 9 countries, bringing us interesting, artistically stimulating, dynamic and thought-provoking productions. We've had 2 colloque sessions to discuss the plays, and 2 fora to discuss international amateur theatre festivals. So whilst this tool that we're all staring at, whilst this tool is limited, we are still engaging, and that's perhaps the door that we need to be opening more, the door that we need to be understanding more. The festival, I'm going to the formal bits now. The festival was brought to you by the International Amateur Theatre Association in collaboration with the Russian and Estonian centres of AITA and the Central European Committee and the Northern European Amateur Theatre Alliance. Once again, we're all very much indebted to the work of Alla Zorina and the Russian Centre for shouldering the responsibility of running the festival, alongside our secretariat, Anne Gilmore, and Christina Omer from the Estonian Centre. I'd like to thank all the experts who took part in selecting the plays and in providing feedback to the companies. Sophia Vegelius, Kevin Dowsett, Carol Thomas for the Children and Youth Programme, Mary Alexa Virta, Togi Trigvason, and Tiasha Chirnigoy, I think, for the adult programme. I'd also like to thank all those who contributed to the debate on the future of festivals, and of course all the companies who took part in the festival, bringing their productions for all of us to enjoy. Thank you as always to our friend Dirk de Kort from De Waanzin Theatre in Flanders for his ready support and input. Thank you, Dirk. Anne will, as I said, will be collating the responses to the forum debate. If there's anything extra that you'd like to add, or if you'd even like to put something down and give some opinions, some ideas that we can share with each other, and she will put together an informal report for that, for the members and all people who participated in the festival. The technical wizardry behind the festival and the creation of the designated website was in the capable hands of Artem Segiev, who has sorted all the technical issues for us at every stage of the festival. Thank you very much, Artem. We salute you, okay? Thank you to everyone who's worked to bring this event together. Thank you for your contributions and for, making these ideas start to ferment and to perhaps gather some energy. Thank you for all attending the session. And for a final word, I'd like to pass back to Alla Zorina.
Спасибо большое, Алет. Дорогие друзья, дорогие коллеги, я очень рада, что наш фестиваль состоялся. Тем самым мы могли помочь Всемирному любительскому театру.
Thank you, Alet. My dear friends, my dear colleagues, I thank you all, and I think this festival made a great contribution to the world of amateur theaters.
Я благодарю всех режиссеров, все театры, их 11 в нашей программе, за то, что они приняли участие в нашем фестивале.
I thank all of you directors, actors, and every theater who took part in this festival. There are 11 of those, to be exact.
Всех моих замечательных давних друзей и новых друзей, с которыми я познакомилась сегодня, за то, что вы откликнулись для разговора в дискуссиях и для разговора в форумах. Для нас это очень-очень важно.
Thank you all of my old friends, my new friends for joining us in this discussion, this forum, because it's really, really important to us.
Особая, конечно, благодарность и Дирку, который замечательно все сегодня провел.
Special thanks to Dirk, who took part in this festival and was the lead of this festival for this time.
И я думаю, что наша встреча в течение 10, наши встречи в течение 10 дней, все это не напрасно. Мы могли видеть друг друга и общаться друг с другом.
Yeah, and I think it wasn't a waste, and we all could meet here and have conversations and continue to discuss things.
Я не буду задерживать ваше внимание и попрошу Арсения, он сейчас прочитает несколько фраз одного замечательного, талантливого, профессионального режиссера, литовского режиссера, который уже несколько лет руководит одним из старейших и прекрасных театров в Москве, в России.
All right. So I won't hold your attention for any longer, and I just would like Arseny, who is me, to read a little some words from a director from из Литвы, правильно?
Да, он литовец,
yeah,
но работает в Москве.
It's a director from Lithuania, but he's actually working in Moscow, in Russia. So
его зовут Римас Туминас.
His name is Rimas Tuminas.
Конечно, его фразы о профессиональном театре, но когда я это прочитала, и я поняла, что это очень подходит и любительскому театру.
Of course, his speech was done for professional theaters, but Al decided that it actually suits amateur theaters very well.
Я думаю, вы со мной согласитесь. Арсений, пожалуйста.
I think you will agree with me. So right now I'm gonna read this speech. We should not be hostages of political games or financial schemes. The only hostages we can afford to be are culture and art. But if after all a catastrophe has occurred, then you should not endlessly mourn the wreckage, but you need to build again and move forward. And in this creative work, the task of the theater on earth is to harmonize the world, which many others are constantly striving to destroy. And we, like bees, have to recreate harmony in the human souls again and again. Maybe this process has not ended and is hopeless, but we will continue to build ourselves all the time by cells him and those cells which are bees making in the harvest. Because there is no other way out. Some destroy life, and in contrast to them, others must constantly recreate it. Let the harmony we created on the stage remain, at least in someone's memory.
Спасибо еще раз, мои дорогие. Аля, тебе спасибо огромное. Анне я напишу. Анне Гильмур очень много сделала для нашего фестиваля. Будьте, пожалуйста, все здоровы, счастливы и до новых радостных встреч.
Thank you all, Alet, Anna Gilmer, and everybody who took part in this festival. We had a great time. I wish you all the best, and I'm sure we will see each other again and again.
Я вас обнимаю.
I hug
Спасибо.
all of you. Thank you.